Hello there, y'all. It is your girl, Shauna Ray. And guess what? It is Wednesday, so it is time for Boss Talk. Y'all know that's bold, one of a kind, sensational superstars. And I am so excited to be back. I've been gone for a couple of weeks. So really what happened is, y'all, I had back surgery. And then so I decided not to do the show the first week after back surgery because a dear friend told me that I sounded like I was speaking in slow motion. And then I took a couple weeks off, and then I came back a little bit. And then I am in a doctoral program, and I had homework, and I waited till the last minute. And so I was cramming and jamming, getting that stuff turned in. You'll be happy to know that I did get it all turned in, and I busted out a B plus in the class and an A on all three papers that I did in 3.5 days. How you like me now? So, having said that, I am really happy to be back, and I missed y'all. And I am actually back in my office. So we had a couple of weeks in my home office, but now I'm back in my office, and we are moving back into life as it is normally lived on my side of the world. So back to work. This is my first week back. It has been challenging, but good. Just challenging because I kind of had a lot of moving parts and had to figure out where things were left, because at the same time as I transitioned back in, my intern and assistant transitioned out, and she'll be back in January. So just trying to get everything back together with Living Loved. So I'm really excited about tonight's show, because you all know that I'm a God girl. And so tonight we get to talk about one of my favorite books, the Bible. And so my guest has figured out a way to actually make the Bible more appealing to those who might not otherwise read it or understand it. And I absolutely love that. And her concept is fantastic. And so I can't wait to introduce you to her. So her name is Nikki Thomas. And Nikki is a freelance writer with a heart for serving other dreamers, doers, and entrepreneurs through her brand, Nikki Wrote It. Operating by the notion that our God-given gifts are connected to service, this Atlanta-based content creator has developed a line of journals through which she challenges herself and others to dare to do it. Dare to dream, dare to plan, and dare to execute. Key. Nikki is also the host of That's What She Read, a weekly Bible study podcast that seeks to highlight the power, value, and relevance of timeless text by sharing her own perspective on the Word of God as she studies it and encourages her audience to do the same. Nikki describes her podcast as real, chill, and faith-filled. I love that. Relying on a come-as-you-are policy to help clarify the chapters of the thrilling, life-giving, relatable content that is the Holy Bible. So without another word from me, Boss Talkers, please welcome to Boss Talk, Nikki. Hey there.
Hi. I
Hello.
cannot hear anything. Can you hear me?
Oh, no. Yes, I can hear you.
I can't hear you at all.
Oh, dear. Technical difficulties. Well, now what should we do? Did anything change? You could hear me before, right? Oh, the chat. Where is the chat? I will go to the private chat. Private chat. Here we go. Uh-oh. What did I do? Oh, dear. Hold on, Nikki. I'm typing you something. Okay. So let's try that. So I'm going to try to have her go out and come back in. Do you see the let's see, what can I do? No, it's nothing. look at there, she got it. All right, y'all. Well, you know what it is here. It's sometimes we have technical difficulties. We'll get them squared away and straightened out, but don't go anywhere. Y'all stay tuned because Nikki's going to bring some great content and information to us tonight, and we're going to have a ball, just like we always do. So while we're waiting, why don't you all go out and tell your friends, go get on those phones and send out the link, and y'all come on in here and let's get it crack-a-lackin'. Let's see if she can. There, how's that?
Perfect. I can hear you.
There we go. All right, great. Well, welcome to Boss Talk, Nikki.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And listen, let's be transparent. Thank you for being ready to go at the very last second. So Nikki and I are meeting for the first time face to face, but she comes highly recommended by our dear little sister heart, Nene from Georgia. And Nene was on, in the first few months of, January. She was on in January of this year. And I had a guest who was going to come on tonight, and last week I canceled the show and my guest was available for this week, but she couldn't do this week. And so last week she couldn't do this week. So someone else that I was going to have on at the last minute canceled. And I was like, I don't have a guest. And as I was telling Nene that, she said, oh, my cousin. And when she started telling me what you do, I was like, get her on the phone. So I love how that worked out.
You gotta love Denitra.
Yes, indeed. So
let me tell you, this is my first time doing live anything. I don't go live on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere. So when she told me that, I was like, you want me to be where? Do what?
I know. Well, I appreciate your just stepping out there. I mean, you say you tell people to dare to dream and just do it. So here you are, pushing that envelope and practicing what you preach. I love it. So tell me a little bit about the podcast. It's called What She Read. So tell me about the title first.
Okay, it's called That's What She Read. And it's a little play on the joke, that's what she said. Right. But I named it that because it is a Bible study podcast, but I am not a pastor. I'm not a theologian. I have not gone to school for this. I am simply telling you, when I open my Bible and I read, this is what I read. So by no means am I trying to force my perspective. Quite the opposite. I'm trying to encourage you to read it for yourself and get your own perspective and, interact with me and let's talk about it.
I love it. I love that. So how long have you been doing it?
I started at the top of the year. I actually recorded the first episode last year, but it was kind of a test and, you can be really critical. I'll make it personal. I can be very critical and a bit of a perfectionist. I can't do it until it sounds like this, and I need this equipment and this much money and, this high level production. And so I recorded the first episode last year, and it was not at the production level that I wanted it to be. And then at some point in January, it just dropped in my spirit to just go ahead and do it. That, as the show grows, you'll be able to see the growth and people will be able to see the growth. You'll be able to hear the difference in the quality in January versus the quality now versus the quality next year. And as I improve, you just can't wait for things to be perfect. Sometimes done is better than perfect.
Oh, I love that. Say that again. Sometimes done is
better than perfect.
Yes, I love that. Mm-hmm. And I just so relate because I was going to do a podcast for so long. And then my friends were like, well, when are you going to do it? And I was like, I have a name. Just do it. So in November of last year, I did my first episode. I had no idea what I was doing. And the overlay and all of that. Thank my girl, Chantel Denise, because she literally sent that overlay into my inbox at 5:55 on the day that I was going live. And so I was like, now what do I do with it? How do I do this? And we just did it, and that's kind of what you have to do. And then I also had gotten, as God listens and understands the blessings and encourages us, I had taken a storytelling class, and it was the Master Storytellers Academy with the amazing Andy Enriquez, whom I adore. And we had been doing the classes. The group was like a weekend group, but then we met for, I forget how long after that, because I joined the other part of the group, the like master class. And so one day we were leaving the meeting, and he said, be on the lookout. There are gonna be some things coming in the mail. And so about a week later, I'm on my way out the door, and I was actually going to speak somewhere. And I walk out the door, and you're always running late. I have this great big box, and so I didn't have time to open it. I was like, ooh, what is that? So I put it in the house, and I got in my car, and I left, and I came back, and I opened the box, and it was podcast lights. It was lights, lights. So I was like, so I called my girlfriend, and I literally FaceTimed them as I opened the box, because we had been talking about, wanting and needing lights. They're fantastic lights. Got those, called my coach, and I told him, and he was like, oh, and he was a coach from the academy. He's like, oh, that's nice. Oh, okay. So then a few days later, I get another box, and I open it up, and it's a podcast mic. What? And so then I called him, and I thanked them, because they were sending it to us from the academy. And then the last box was a camera.
Like, well, just dropping it all in your lap.
Yes, if that's not God said, okay, now what?
Okay, well, what else you got to say?
Yeah, exactly. Bring it to me, because I got something for you. So I totally get that. Well, I love that you're doing what you're doing. So tell me, when you started it, and did you have a format already? Did you have these stories already aligned? How did you get to the storytelling part?
No. The short answer is no. So
okay.
That first episode that I recorded, I obsessed over it. I was writing it out. I was like, I have favorite stories in the Bible. And one of them that I wanted to tell was the story of Abraham and Sarah. And so I'm like writing it down. I'm writing this whole script. And then, I recorded it a few times. The first time it sounded like I was reading, and then you could hear the pages turning as I'm flipping through the notebook. And it was just like, okay, that's not going to work. So, after a few takes, I finally got it to where it was at least smooth. Like I could say I was reading smoothly. And then I let someone listen to it. I let a few people listen to it, friends, and a couple of friends were like, this is a great concept. This is good. I think you should do this. But one particular person said, it sounds like an audiobook. And they said, when you listen to a podcast, they have structure, they have a format, they have an intro. I just jumped in there like, hey, so let me tell you about Abraham and Sarah. But as it went on, the intro and the outro just kind of came to me. I don't have like a specific story. It just kind of came to me, just like, the whole thank you for listening, blah, blah, blah. But my favorite part of the intro, the tagline of the intro, where I say, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and get right into it.
Yeah, I love that.
This is the day that the Lord has made. That's a song that, like, probably the first gospel song I can remember from going to children's church at like 6. Yes. That's the song that I've taught my nephews. So that's like, that sticks with me. So it was just like perfect that I could work it in that way into the intro. Yeah. So and now I have I wrote a little something. I have an intro and an outro now. I don't know it by heart. I'm still reading it. And in fact, for the most part, I still write myself a script, because I've always done very well with public speaking, like in like college and when I've been forced to do it, but I have always, always, always shied away from it. Mm-hmm. I'm always shaking like a leaf. So even though it was a podcast and I'm not on camera and there's no live audience or anything like that, the mental part of it, I still have to at least write a guide. And I can freestyle within that guide, but I need to have a guide. I tried to record one episode freestyle and I was all over the place, baby, because I will ramble. So I do still follow a guide when I record.
But that's great. And what I love too is that, you're shaking like a leaf, but you do it anyway. And that's the
right.
Key. I always say to people, like I'm a therapist, I'm a coach. And so people are always like, well, no, I don't, I'm afraid to do it. It's like, that's good. That's okay. But do it afraid. Do it anyway.
That's a new lesson for me because literally all my life I have run. If I'm in fear, I have gone the other way. You ain't got to worry about me. If it's scary, I ain't gonna be there. So,
okay.
So I've always had this shy side, and as I've become an adult, in certain situations, there's like a group of people who know that I'm shy or think that I'm quiet. And then there's a group of people who's like, oh, she's the life of the party. Because at some point I've learned how to put it on when I need to or when I'm comfortable.
Right.
But this has not been a setting that I have been comfortable with. And putting myself out there has not been something that I have been eager to do because I've always cared about what people thought. And I've always had a fear of being judged. And I've always had a fear of people thinking that, I've always felt like my voice is so monotone. What are they going to say about how I sound? Or, if I stumble over my words or, just these lies that the enemy will feed you. And I was eating it up. And so now I am still afraid. In fact, when I posted the flyer, I put, I'm scared. I'm real scared, but I'm going to do it anyway.
But that's so valuable. That's so valuable. And tell me, because, a lot of people get stuck, and that's one of the things I help people do is get unstuck. Like when you have all these great ideas, we have all these things that we know that we're good. I call them our God-given, God-driven.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
But we are just like, what if they say this? What if they think this? And like, I've always been a talker and I've always been kind of out there, but even in my mind, things can sometimes get to a place where I'm more here than I am in present. And when you're there, then you're not giving. You're not able to give from what God has given you. And so I try to remind myself all the time, this ain't about you. It's about him. He gave you this. He gave you this.
That part right there.
And don't be selfish. Don't keep it to yourself, right?
That part right there.
Yeah. So what tools do you use or have you used to get you to the place where you're able to say, I'm scared, but I'm going to do this?
100%. It has been me increasing my reliance on God and me learning to trust him more and more, and me being very transparent with God, because I have found that people don't know that they can be transparent with God, as though he doesn't already know what you really think and how you really feel. Or if you're going to hurt his feelings and he can't take it. You can tell him that you're struggling to trust him. He already knows that. And he will welcome you to be honest with him, because in essence, that is trusting him with the truth. So that has been a part of it. And a lot of it has come with reading the Bible and reading some of the stories and the things I've been able to extract from that. And, also some of the sermons that I listen to and things like that, really filling yourself up with it, because then you start to remember, hey, you can hold God to his word. He wants you to. So it's like, Lord, you want me to get on here and tell these people about you? I am terrified. You're going to have to touch my mouth like you did Jeremiah. You're going to have to give me the words You know,
I love
and
it.
then if you look at some of the Bible stories, a lot of the people that God used, imperfect people. And not like, you know, there's that saying that God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called.
Ooh,
He
come
will
on.
call
I love that. I love that.
he will call you first and then qualify you. And I have seen it done over and over and over in my life and with jobs. I'm like, how I get this job? Like uh,
Yes.
just over and over again. And then I'm in there and I'm excelling. They're like, oh, you're doing a really great job. We love you. When I get ready to leave, we don't want you to leave. I'm like, I wasn't even supposed to be here. You know,
Okay.
it's he increasing. Oh, and the peace that passes all understanding. That's like number one.
I
It's like, I need you to give me peace to be able to do this. I am nervous. I'm afraid. I'm shaking. Um, it's a distraction. I can't do what it is that you want me to do without your help. And
absolutely.
he wants you to know that you need him. And
Mm-hmm.
he wants you to admit that to him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what I do. I pray for things to go well and they go well.
That's
And
it.
that's something,
That.
and it's not like all the time. It's not like every single prayer, like I'm telling God what to do. Okay, this is what you need to do. But because there are some things that you have to go through to grow from. You know,
Right.
sometimes you have to fall on your face and then you get that lesson or it
That's right.
develops your character in some way.
Mm.
But for the most part, when I pray for the peace that surpasses all understanding, I typically will get it. When I let God know what it is that I want, what it is that I need, typically I will get it. Even if I don't get it immediately, he
Right.
may be like, okay, if you want that, you're gonna have to go through this. So let
Right.
me put you through this and
Yeah.
then I'll give it to you, you know, so that you
And it
don't
doesn't always,
self-destruct.
yeah,
Huh?
it doesn't always come in the way that you thought it was going to look.
That as well, right.
Right. So we have a guest on here tonight, Johnny D. I call him John Steinreich. Hey, brother. He says God does not call the qualified, but qualifies the call. Great insight. Yes.
Absolutely.
Is a Bible scholar. He is a master's of theology and a great teacher. He is the leader of our family group Bible study, and he does great lessons. And we are often talking about just our humanity, right? And how in our humanity we can be stuck and we can be afraid and we can be self-defeating and all of those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I love that
Absolutely.
have figured out the need and the way to just trust God and give it all over to him.
Listen, these people in the Bible who did great things, they were scared.
Mhm.
They
Yes,
were afraid. They
yes,
were like, I don't want to do it.
yes.
So, you know,
And look,
you just
one of the things that comes to mind is like, and really not qualified. Like, let's look at um look at David and Goliath. It was a little bitty old thing, right? And
mhm.
and so none of that made sense, right? None of that made
Right.
sense, except that God surpasses all understanding, and
Right.
everything about Him is about defeating our negative thoughts and our beliefs about ourselves, for us to see ourselves the way that He sees us, and to lean into Him.
And ultimately he gets the glory from that. And
Yeah,
that's kind of the purpose, because you can't say, oh,
absolutely.
this was me, I'm such a great speaker, I'm such a great you know, he gave you those gifts and then he put you in a position to have to use them in a way that you're not all the
Mhm.
way sure of or equipped for, so
That's
that when people look and see what you've achieved, they have to see God.
that's
They
it.
have to see, oh, I know she ain't do that.
Exactly.
I know her. I went to school with her and I know she wasn't, you know. And you have to see, okay, let me see what this guy she's talking about. You
Mhm.
know, it points people
Yes.
back to God.
Absolutely. Absolutely. To Him be the glory. Dr.
Right.
Marlena, hello. Thank you for tuning in. She says a test will proceed. Yes, indeed. And speaking
Mhm.
of great speakers and teachers and coaches and definitely an author who has a book. Dr. Marlena, why don't you see if you can put your book info in the chat there for us, and we can get that out to the boss talkers tonight. So you can do that for me. Thank you. But I think that, you know, it's great that you're doing this. It's courageous that you're doing it, but it's also just so much fun.
It is.
I love I got to listen to some of the episodes today, and I'll give some of the titles and you can help me out. One of them I loved was there's 2 episodes, The Real Housewives of the Bible. No, I love that. So, and I love the story. You were telling the story of Sarah and Hagar and all of that. And I love the way that you did it, because what I also note about that is that there are people that may never pick up the Bible and read the Old Testament and read it as it is written, right? But or there are those that will read it and be like, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
But the way that you related it to, you even mentioned like Ninth, that's some love and hip hop stuff or something like that. I love that so much.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's actually kind of how the podcast came to be, because there is a really good friend that I have who prophesied to me years ago and said, you know, I'm going to do all these great things, but my success is going to be pretty much tied to me reading the Bible. And she was like, you are going to have to start reading the Bible. And when she told me that, I was disappointed. I was happy at first. I was like, oh, I'm going to be successful. And then she was like, but you're going to have to read that Bible. And I was like, and I had a relationship with God, and I prayed, and, you know, I went to church or watched online at least, but I was not reading that Bible like that. I might pick it up every now and then, maybe look at a passage, but it really wasn't clicking. I wasn't understanding it. I wasn't getting what I needed from it. So when she said that, I was like, it was intimidating. It was like, okay, so I'm never gonna be successful then. Like how am I gonna I couldn't see myself getting into it, right? So when I finally did get into it, and I just have to say that the Holy Spirit just led me there. And when I finally did start getting into it, I was like, these stories, like, you know, some things went on in the Bible. Like there is truly nothing new under the sun. Absolutely. You know, everything you go through, these people went through, and probably worse, some of them. And so when I would read some of the stories, I would just tell my sister, because I was excited, first of all, that I was understanding them and that I was actually engaged. And so I would go to my sister and I would say, you know, and did you know, girl? And then Hagar, and Hannah was, and the girl, she was taunting her because she could have babies and she couldn't. And the husband was like, and my sister would be on the edge of her seat, like, and then what happened? And then what happened? And one day, and that happened maybe 3 times of me coming to her and giving her a recap like that. And finally, she was like, you know, I really feel like I'm getting something out of the way you tell me these stories. And when she said that, I was like, well, I'm sure other people would get something out of it too, because it's intimidating. You look at it, you don't understand it. The words ain't making sense, you know? So I was like, there's something there.
I love it. Now, have you always been sort of entrepreneurial minded?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So it was an easy transition then for you to do that.
Absolutely. As far as, yes, my family is, and we get it honest from my mom, my sister, all of us still today. Let me tell you about a new business idea I got. I got a new business idea today.
I love it. That's me.
Business after business after business after business. Okay. And I will try it all, because another thing that I heavily believe in is use all your gifts.
That's right.
I'm going to use all my gifts. If I discover I'm good at something, I'm going to try it. Absolutely. So we gonna, you know, so yeah. I'm going to use it.
That's wonderful. You know, I grew up in an entrepreneurial household too. And I also grew up with undiagnosed ADHD. So we never knew why. I was always doing something. And growing up, and as I got older, jobs were just not working for me. You know, like somebody else's go in and punch the clock kind of job and the 9 to 5 thing and all of that, they just did not sit well. They didn't work well with me. I did not work well in that atmosphere. And so I had to own that that's who I am. Own it, embrace it. That's the other piece. Embrace it. I love it because I want to work there anyway. So I had to kind of create my own thing. You know, but I appreciate that entrepreneurial spirit that was instilled in me very young.
Oh, absolutely. Me as well. And I do think that sometimes it gets a bit of a negative connotation. There's a negative connotation to it because it's kind of like, oh, you're just throwing things at the wall to see what sticks, or, you know, like you said, you're moving, you're bouncing around, and listen, how else I'm gonna figure out what it is, what works. You know, I got to get out there, I got to do it, I got to try it, I got to see. If I don't know, you know, I can't leave nothing untapped. I got to try it.
Right. That is so right. And if you know, and people go into their careers and they think that that's what they want to do, or that's what they want to do at the time, and then they get into it and they're not fulfilled because it's not how they're built. So you're trying to do work that you're not built for.
And you know what it is too? It's also, I believe, not believing, knowing, or trusting that God is actually your source and not a job.
Yes. Yes.
I think that's really difficult for a person to grasp and to believe in this world where you know, the idea is that you absolutely need a job. You need the income. And, you know, granted, you have bills, you have things you want to do, you want to travel, you need to provide for your family. You do need income, but God is the source. Yeah. And just like he got you that job, he could get you another one and another one and another one. Or if your interest is in doing your own thing, he can sustain you with that as well. Absolutely. He can put you in a position where you have a job that supports you doing whatever else you want to do. And at the end of the day, again, he gave you a gift, and I do think it's our responsibility to serve with whatever gift that he gave us.
Now you mentioned that you have a heart for service, and so in what ways, besides in, of course, obviously in your podcast work, you do serve others, teaching and helping people to understand and maybe even become interested in the Bible and the Bible stories and God and what that all looks like. What are some other areas of service for you?
Well, it started probably more so with writing, and I'm just naturally good at writing. I'm just naturally good at it. It's a gift. Yes. And I can't tell you how many things I've edited for free, written for free, or for cheap, or especially if you're a creator or an entrepreneur, because then I'm excited too. And I'm like, oh, you need this for your business. You need a bio. Let me write you this bio. You know, now I will say I hate doing resumes. I hate it. It's so boring to me. But I can do it well. And there's a number of family and friends like, oh, can you tweak my resume? Can you tweak my resume? And I'll do it. I hate it, but I'll do it. So I do think that I've used my writing to serve in that way a lot. I also love to cook. And so I've catered small events, and I, you know, want to feed people all the time.
I'm getting that. This whole family loves to cook because I love it.
Oh, Nitra been cooking. She got some time on me.
Yes, her and my cousin, I'm in heaven when they're just all in the kitchen making, creating things, and I'm like,
yes,
I love it. Yeah.
I can't say I got the palate. Nitra got that palate.
Yes, it really does. The salmon. Let me just tell you, sidebar, y'all. This salmon the other night was so on slam. It was so good. So I don't know whether she sliced it to fill it, because it was stuffed salmon, and it was stuffed with spinach, cream cheese, onions, and another kind of cheese. It was so delicious. And then she pan seared it. So it wasn't dry, it was moist, but it was flaky. I'm talking like I could have like,
Gourmet.
I felt like I was one of those, oh, yes, I love the richness of
Nitra, I got some salmon in my freezer. I'll be waiting on you. You're welcome.
100%. It was so good. And then they made rice and beans last night that were like out of this world. Like I've never tasted rice and beans that tasted like that before. I was like, and I wasn't going to eat it because I got home like at 9:00. And so I was just going to take a little taste and put it away. And I was like,
kept on going.
Oh, girl, I was like, I'll stay up another 2 hours because this was good. So yes, so you cater as well.
Yeah, I use that word very loosely. Okay. But I have done some events.
Okay. Yes, Dr. Marlena, it was so good. So very delicious. So what kind of food do you cater when you do events?
What kind of food? Actually, me, my sister, and one of my sister's friends, they always help me out. And our specialty is kind of brunch. That's what we love to do. Nothing healthy at all. Peach cobbler, French toast, candied bacon, candied sausage, deviled eggs. Just nothing to brag about. Nothing that I should be ashamed.
Oh, no, it's so divine. So delicious.
It tastes good.
I love it. Well, see, and those are you can do that. You can do that every now and then. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. We do lunch and dinner as well, but I find that we get called for brunch a lot.
I love it. I love it. So
that is what we like to call baby shower food. A whole bunch of, you got to have the meatball or pasta, this or that.
All of that. So did you do Nini's baby shower?
We did. Yeah, we did.
So beautiful. Oh my gosh, I saw the
Thank you. Absolutely, yes. We do. That's another way as well. I like all of that kind of the fluff. We do the balloon arches. I enjoy that, but that is definitely more of a hobby than something that I would launch. That takes a lot. I don't think that's my true ministry.
I used to do that. I actually am a certified bridal consultant.
Oh.
So I used to do weddings. I've done them here. I did them in New York. And I am the queen of a balloon arch, baby. I will whip together a balloon arch. And I used to love to do it. But now when a lot of times when you're doing the whole thing, that's the last thing that you can spend your time on because you're coordinating other pieces because there's so many.
That's the thing. That's why I know it's not my ministry because it's so fun, but it's so stressful. And if you don't have enough help, and then whoever you're doing it for doesn't have the budget, and it's just it can be a whole lot.
Yes,
and I'm like, no.
Yes, I used to pride myself on doing a wedding on a shoestring budget. Dr. Marlena says, me too. Are you a bridal consultant too? Is that what you mean? I told you we're just alike. Good evening, Soror Rhonda. Excited about tonight's topic. I'm loving the conversation. Food, fun, and fellowship. Absolutely.
Oh, I like that. Food, fun, and fellowship. I like it. That just made me tingle.
So listen, how can I want the audience to hear a little bit of one of your podcast episodes. And I really love the one, the housewives. I love the housewives, the real housewives of the Bible. So how can I pull that up?
It's on Spotify. It's on Apple. It's on.
It's
on Audible. I believe it's on Google.
I'm gonna try to pull up my Spotify.
Okay.
I actually put my Spotify on my TV today just to be able to watch.
Oh, thank you. Technologically advanced.
Yes, I linked them, girl. Continue with Google. Yeah, let's do that. Uh-oh. Is it this one? Log in. Oh, logged in. Okay. Account overview or web player. What do I want? The web player? Yep. Okay. Let's see here. I'm gonna search. Yep, I'm gonna search. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna make a mess. So tell the audience how long does it take you to kind of come up with your story when you're doing that?
It takes a long time for me to write out the script because most of the time I'm writing it by hand. Sometimes I'm typing it in a Google document. Um, but I really, really want to make sure that I'm being accurate,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that I'm not imposing a perspective that I'm not sure of,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that I'm not, I want to be responsible.
I
Um,
appreciate that. I really appreciate that. That is so good.
Thank you. So I'm sitting there, even if I feel I know the story, I'm
Mm-hmm.
pulling it up. I'm going verse by verse. And what do I want to say about this verse? Or how would I translate this verse? How would I put this into my own words? And then that's what I do. And then in between, I'll throw in whatever my isms are.
I
Um,
love it. I
but
love
it can take it takes hours, maybe 3. I don't know. It depends on the story and how long the episode is. I try to keep the episodes short because
Mm-hmm. I
this
noticed
generation has a short attention span.
this is
um,
good.
when I have a guest on, they tend to be a little bit longer, but still not too long. Still not, I would say not more than 20-30 minutes.
Okay.
But typically the episodes, I try to keep them 5, 6, 10 minutes.
Okay.
So,
I
because
love
I
that.
know that when I'm searching on YouTube for something, like if I want to know, hey, what does this verse mean? Or I'm feeling this emotion, what does God say about that? And I'm looking for YouTube videos. Sometimes when it's 46 minutes, I'm going to say, tell me in 3. Who got the 3-minute video?
I know. Can you bring me the Reader's Digest version of that right there?
Right.
All right. So I was able to find it. I was able to pop it up. Now let me see if I can figure out how to share again because they changed it on me. Share screen. Okay. So I'm going to share the screen and share system audio. Okay. All right. Y'all tell me if you can hear this. Let's see. Can y'all hear that? Oh, wait. I didn't turn it on yet. I should probably turn it on so that you can hear it, right? Okay. This is The Real Housewives of Biblical Times, episode 2. Oh, I want
Hey y'all,
episode
if you
1.
got something to
Oh
say,
my goodness, if you could
Hold
skip
on.
that ad.
I want episode. No, I like your ad actually. I want episode 1 first. Wait, hold it. Okay, here it is. Did the screen change? Does it say episode 1 audience?
Yes.
It does. Okay, here we go.
hey y'all, if you got something to say it on Anchor by Spotify. Let me tell you, Anchor by Spotify is the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. It has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Team, no excuses. And when hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And thus, it is free 99. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's free, y'all. Back to the show.
By the way, I learned a lot from that. Thank you.
I actually kind of hate it.
I know you do, but I wanted to hear it.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the That's What She Read podcast with me, Nikki T, your Bible study buddy, real chilling, faith filled on this beautiful day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and get right into it, girl. So we're picking it up in Genesis chapter 16. We're going to go through 18, talking about Abraham and Sarah. But before their names were Abraham and Sarah, they were named Sarai and Abram. And that's what we're going to call them in this episode until it changes. So we'll start with Sarai. Sarai couldn't have children. And we know, once again, what a big deal that was. I've talked about it on multiple podcast episodes now. But she couldn't have children, but she had a servant named Hagar. So Sarah had this bright idea because she was so desperate to have kids. She had this bright idea to send her man, Abram, to go sleep with Hagar to get her pregnant. She felt like since she couldn't have kids herself, maybe she could have kids through her servant. So chapter 16, verse 1 says, so Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian servant, and gave her to Abram as a wife. And you know what? This reminds me of that time that Tammy Roman from Basketball Wives spoke on her own fertility issues. And she said that being that she's an older woman, right, who has already raised her own kids, and her husband is a younger guy who just really wanted kids but doesn't have any, she suggested that he go out into the world and find another woman to have his babies and get back at her when he's done. I mean, it ain't for me. Anyway, let me find out that Sarai came up with that concept. I mean, it is a little different. Sarai had no plans on leaving the picture at all. She presented her husband with this idea to sleep with this other woman, and do you think he turned it down? Now, it's important to note that in the previous chapter, Abram had an encounter with God where God promised him that he would have a son, obviously with his wife, because, I just feel like that's just the character of God. Do you think Abraham said, no, baby, I don't want nobody but you. Let's just wait on the Lord? No. Knowing that he had this promise from God that God was going to give him a son, Abram still agreed to take matters into his own hands with his wife Sarai. So he slept with Hagar, conceived a child. Turn my ringer off. So he slept with Hagar, and she conceived a child. And guess what? As soon as that clear blue stick popped up positive, Hagar started smelling herself. She wasn't acting like a servant anymore. She was giving real main chick, I can do what I want because your man is my baby daddy vibes. So Sarai got mad at her man like it wasn't her own idea. Listen to this verse 5. Then Sarai said to Abram, this is all your fault. I put my servant into your arms, but now that she's pregnant, she treats me with contempt. The Lord will show you who's wrong, you or me. Ain't that some love and hip hop stuff? That's some real love and hip hop. So now Sarai being all dramatic after she'd have brought another woman into her relationship. And you know how a lot of men are just like drama resistant, like they don't feel like hearing all that. So whatever it takes to just end the conversation. Listen to what Abram said in verse 6. It says, Abram replied, look, she is your servant, so deal with her as you see fit. He was just like, keep me out of it. Then Sarai treated Hagar so harshly that she finally ran away. Abram was like, look, I did what you asked me to do. It was your idea. I just went along with it. I understand y'all beefing now. I just handle it. Handle it however you want to handle it, Sarai. So Sarai was like, bet. And she started just treating the girl so bad that she finally ran off. And while Hagar was out somewhere in the boonies, chilling by the water, the angel of the Lord found her and asked her where she came from and where she thought she was going. And so she told the angel that she was running from Sarai. And the angel told her to go on back and play her part. Like, go on back to the house, play your part. You out here, you pregnant. You might as well just, go on, girl. So speaking as the Lord, he told her that she would be given many descendants, and having a lot of descendants was considered a huge blessing. So the angel told her that she was having a son because, 3D ultrasounds were not a thing just yet. And he told her to name the kid Ishmael, which means God hears, because God had heard her cry of distress. But she was also told that her son would be a wild man, and basically wasn't nobody gonna like him, and he wasn't gonna like nobody. The angel said Ishmael was gonna have animosity with all his relatives. So moving on now, Abram was 86 when Ishmael was born. Keep that in mind. Then when Abram was 99, God changed his name to Abraham. So this is where the changes came. He changed Abram's name to Abraham and made a promise to give him many more descendants and to make him the father of many nations. And he renamed Sarai Sarah and promised that he would bless her richly and give her a son. Abraham bowed before the Lord, but he laughed because his human logic was like, now, how can I become a father at 100 years old? So, and then he was like, Sarah 90, so what is God really talking about? So in his doubtfulness, he asked God if he could bless Ishmael too. And I guess just in case this miracle kid you talking about never comes, just in case I know you God Almighty, but just in case you can't do what you said you was gonna do, can you just bless the kid I already got? Like, I guess that's what Abraham was on. God said no. He said, this son will come through your wife, Sarah, and I'm gonna bless him and extend the promise to him, and you will name him Isaac. But being the gracious God that he is, God said, you know what, I'll go ahead and I'll bless Ishmael too. But not like I'm about to bless Isaac, though. Mm-hmm. I thought I was going to be able to complete this story in one episode, but there is so much more to it. So I will make a part 2 where we'll talk about how Sarah responded to this promise, what she thought about what God had to say, everything that happened after. There's a really strong message coming in that part 2, so I encourage you to come back for that next week. Actually, it'll be the week after next week. We have a special guest, so come back for that too, and then part 2 of this story will be the week after. I do want to share this quote that I found in my research for this episode. It came from, I don't have the lady's name, but I'll put it in the show notes. But the YouTube channel is called Beloved Women. It's the Beloved Women YouTube channel. And she made some mention of Abraham and Sarah and them just taking things into their own hands instead of waiting on the promise of God to give them a son. And what she said was, bitterness, jealousy, and heartache was birthed out of the decision to take matters out of their own hands and out of the will of God. I'm sorry, I just botched that. Bitterness, jealousy, and heartache was birthed out of the decision to take matters into their own hands and out of the will of God because they were tired of waiting. It makes matters worse when we try to control situations instead of waiting on God. And that is really the lesson in this story. Again, there's going to be some really powerful messages in part 2. On that note, I pray that in all things you may prosper and be healthy, even as your soul prospers. Thank you for listening to the That's What She Read podcast. That's what I read. But as always, I want to know what you read. The scriptures that we covered today will be linked in the show notes. Please remember that you can leave me voice messages. I will leave a link to do so in the show notes. I hope you learned something, and I hope to hear from you. Bye.
I so love it. So, thank you, Boss Talkers. What did you think of that? Terry, hey, Soror, she said, baby daddy vibe, and she's laughing out loud. What a wonderful way to share the biblical stories with younger generations. Absolutely. I so love it. So now y'all know why I just had to get Nikki, I almost called you Nikki, Nini's cousin, on here tonight, because I was just so taken with the creativity, but really that it draws you in, and it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense to do it that way. I love it. Hey, Jessica, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. Jessica is going to be my new best friend because I just switched my payroll over to ADP, and she is my rep. So peace. If y'all need ADP, holler at me, because I think I'm supposed to get a gift if I refer some people, because somebody who referred me is getting some kind of gift. Okay, I know that. Okay.
I'll work it.
That's it. Dr. Marlena says, bravo. I love how you made it relatable. Absolutely. And that is the thing I love the most about it. Not to mention, you are so good at it. You are really, this is your gift. This is totally your gift. And I love how, God will give us gifts, and he'll be like, okay, here's your gift, right? And then you'll be like, well, what am I supposed to do with that, Lord? And then you go sit there for a really long time, and you might throw, like they said, what you said earlier, throw some stuff up against the wall. But I love how this came to you, and how it is just, it's so yours. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are doing different things, but this represents the way that your brain works and the way that you think and the things and your wit and how clever it is. I love it all. And I love that line too. Like she was giving baby, like what's the line? You can please repeat it for me. The one about when Hagar was smelling herself. What is she was giving?
Because yeah, man, my baby daddy. Right.
Yeah. I love it.
I'm sorry, I'm a bad live guest on my first live. My battery's about to die. Let me grab my charger.
Oh, go right ahead.
Thank you.
No worries. Hey Lou, what's up? Thanks for tuning in, my brother. Did you hear her podcast? So you all, while Nikki is gone, I want to make sure that you all get the name of her podcast. So I'm going to type it in. It's on all the major audio platforms. It's on Anchor, Podcast, and it's called That's What She Read. Did I get that right?
That is correct.
Yes, That's What She Read. And so you all go and find this because you are going to love it. Some of the stories are great. And there's a part 2, by the way, like she said, there's going to be a part 2 to the Real Housewives of the Bible. So you want to capture that. And then there's one that I also loved that was Sodom and Gomorrah ain't Atlanta.
It's not.
That is so
Sodom
great.
and Gomorrah is not Atlanta.
That is not Atlanta. So you are natural, great rhythm and flow. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I know you said earlier that you had thought that your voice was monotone. Your voice is so chill and rich. I love your voice.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. That is something that and I can slip in and out of it. So if you catch me on a day where we chilling, you might be like, "What you say?" I can get there. My mom calls it the mush mouth.
And so for me, it's like I'm going 90 miles a minute. And if you heard me or not, but you got to really catch up and you got to pay attention because that's something right in there and you won't even know.
That's my sister. That's my sister. It's night and day. She's the and I'm the just laid back, like
right.
So.
Right. Well,
but I know how to. I feel like I know how to turn it on when I need to.
That's it.
Enunciate.
Yes, exactly. Let's see. I love the quote you use at the end. The sad part is we are still living with the consequences of Sarah's decision. Amen. Absolutely. Dr. Marlena said, great cadence. And Luciania Maya, my brother, wants to know what's the link to your website. So it's not a website, right? She's a podcast host, and her podcast is called That's What She Read. And you can find it on all the major platforms, Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and what else?
I do actually have a link. It's on Audible as well. It should be everywhere. But I do have a link that an Anchor link that kind of houses a few different sites. It's on YouTube too. Okay. I will say that YouTube is not as up to date as the others. YouTube is a little bit behind with me uploading them manually. But everywhere else is up to date. And I can put the link to the website in the chat. Just a second. I'll grab that link.
If you want to put it in the private chat and I can share it on. Or
okay.
Can you type in the other chat? Can you type it right now?
I believe so. Yeah, I can. Oh, okay, I think so. I'll put it in.
Uh-oh. Oh dear. I guess maybe that wasn't she might have hit the wrong button some kind of way. So, all right, well she'll be right back, I guess. I will get that link and put it in the chat. Let me see. I might have it right here. I know what I can put in there. So what I'm putting in is the link to the one that we just saw. And if once you get there, if you click back on it, it will take you to all of her episodes. So that's the Spotify link. So
I just completely left.
Well, welcome back.
Listen, I told y'all I don't do this now. Don't judge me.
No judgment at all, girl. Look, the first several times, I remember my second show. I think on my second show, we were really getting into it. It was my girlfriend from it. My girlfriend from Atlanta was on with me, and we had gotten in about 6 minutes, and I had forgot to hit the live button, so we were not live. And if you're not live within 10 minutes on Facebook, you're just out of luck. They don't even do it. So then we were like, well, are we live? So Facebook, are we live on YouTube? Well, I don't know. Well, when can you come back and all this and this? And yeah, YouTube was live. So if you go to, so YouTube was live while we were figuring out when to get back on and all that other stuff. So honey, don't even worry about it.
Well, now that I've done it, I'm going to have to try to do it a little bit more often. So that may not be the last mistake. I did put the link in the chat. Where was everybody able to see that?
Well, I put one in too. Oh, thank you, sweetie. Let's see. I think that's mine. That's in. Oh, I see where you put it. Because I put up the one from the show that we just watched. Here we go.
Okay. That particular one links to everything.
This one here?
You can click. It will take you to one page that has a link for Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and also the blog.
All right. There you go. So, Lucienne, there is that link, and you can copy and paste it and click right on and share it out, y'all. We got to share about this wonderful podcast that's going to connect us, that keeps us connected to the Bible in language that we can understand. I like it. I like it.
I love how you put that. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. So, are you active on social media?
Okay, so what had happened was I am sort of active on my personal page, and I did create a page for the podcast where I am not as active.
Okay.
And I feel at this point, I feel like I may need to outsource.
Yeah.
But I do check it. I'm just really not posting often there.
Okay. Now, do you have a day job?
I do.
Okay. What do you do?
I have 2 day jobs.
You got several. I got 13 jobs, man.
Uh-huh.
So what do you do?
I am a quality liaison for a health plan in Georgia. And I also work for the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Oh, the VA.
Mm-hmm.
One of my main contracts in my practice.
Really?
I don't know if we know. Well, let's share. I'm a therapist. We didn't even get to talk about this, y'all. We just met. So talk amongst yourselves while we chat and get to know one another. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I'm a therapist. That's what Living Loved Pathways to Holistic Healing. That's my therapy practice, and I'm in private practice in Encino, California. And we just got to incorporate this year in February. So we're now a corporation. So we are actually Sean LaRae Brinkley, licensed marriage family therapy, a professional corporation doing business as Living Loved Pathways to Holistic Healing.
Oh, congratulations.
By the time I finish saying all that, I understand. But yes, and I want to share also with you, Nikki, and with the audience that, as many of you know, that I lost my dear King, William Joseph, to COVID. I'm a COVID widow.
No.
Of 2022. He was my whole heart. He was amazing, and he is still the wind beneath my wings, because even though he is gone, I have vowed to honor his life with my own. And so he's responsible for me having the confidence, the wind, and all of that beneath my wings to do what I get to do in the world. And so I'm full of gratitude for that. And to further honor him, thank you, Soror. To further honor him, I have filed my 501c3, my nonprofit, which is called the William Joseph Brinkley Center for Cultural Affirmation. And so I'm thrilled about that. And what that actually means is, so growing up as a little chocolate child in Toledo, Ohio, I was very blessed to have the parents that I had because my parents affirmed me in every way possible. And I have been in the work that I am in now, and I get to see that that doesn't always happen. Not only do I see it in the teens and kids that we serve, but also in the adults that we serve who were never affirmed as children and affirmed throughout their lives, so that they can believe that who they are is amazing. And I call it I call it stepping into your who you are-ness, and that is when you're living your God-given, God-driven purpose. And so I'm getting my doctorate in performance psychology, and I want to help people perform at optimal levels in their lives. And I think that in order to do that, you have to be strong in the affirmation of who you are. And I was blessed to get that. And I want to help more of us to be able to do that as African-American people in a world where we are not always embraced. I feel like it's uber important that we embrace and affirm ourselves, one another, and keep spreading that out there. So I call it, I want to help people walk well in the melanin. And so that's what the William Joseph Brinkley Center for Cultural Affirmation is all about. And so say some prayers that we get it off the ground and get it moving quickly. So thank you. Yes.
Absolutely. Let's just speak it.
Yes, it is done. And you know that done. I was telling Nini today that I was listening to A Quiet Time today, and the person I was listening to made some grammatical errors in her speech, and my brain went straight there. And then I had to ask God to take away the judgment, take away all of that so that I could hear the message.
Oh, that's a good prayer.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, the message was so perfectly what I needed to hear today, even in that. And it was saying that you speak it exactly as you feel it in your heart and you see it in your soul, because God is in the blessing business. And if you don't ask, you cannot receive. And here's the thing. Yes, he will.
You have not because you ask not.
That's right. The desires of your heart. Now, sometimes, what I also pray when I say that is, God, let the desires of my heart align with your will.
Because I pray that same prayer.
I love it.
Because we can desire some evil things, some detrimental things, some self-destructive things.
That part right there. So please check my heart. And if it is your will, then bestow that upon me, and I am here to receive it. So I love that. I like you. We have to have some time in Atlanta. We'll do the project. There's a place I want to go. It's a tea house. What's it called? I wish Lanny was on here tonight because she knows what I'm talking about. She went there with our soror.
You say here in Atlanta?
It's in Atlanta. Somebody's tea house. Miss somebody.
Oh, is it Mary Max?
That's it.
Mary Max. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So maybe we can go to Mary Max Tea House and have a little tea and some soul food.
I'll be there. Listen, I will be there.
I love it. Well, listen, Nikki, it was such a pleasure and a blessing to meet you. I really have to thank Nini and hug her extra hard for connecting us today in this way. It was perfect timing. Thank you for coming on at the 11th hour and blessing Boss Talk tonight.
Thank you so much. I was able to do something that I wasn't sure I would ever be able to do. So I appreciate you for giving me the opportunity. And I guess I owe Nini an agent fee. There you go. What else she gonna book me? What else she booking me for?
That is really what she ought to be doing. Okay, she really, really should be that because she is the best cheerleader. We love us. Yes.
But I really appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate you. And I was not even prepared for you to play in a whole episode. Listen, I appreciate that. I appreciate the exposure. Thank you, everybody, listening and for all the comments. It really is a battery in my back to keep pushing and keep going. So I thank you guys.
Love that. Absolutely. Well, thank you for blessing Boss Talk. And y'all out there, thank you for tuning in once again on a Wednesday night. I know that you could be doing anything. And so we are grateful that you chose to spend some time with us tonight. Thank you, Sorors. Thank you, Lou, Dr. Marlena, John, all of you all for coming on tonight and blessing us with your presence. Sora Rhonda, and we love y'all. And listen, come back next week because we are so excited. We're going to have some more great things going on for you. And I'm going to put a link in right now because if you are a woman entrepreneur, you will want to attend this event that I am actually the keynote speaker at on Tuesday, November the 15th. You go to thevalley.net/events. And I invite you to come. It is called Women's Entrepreneur Day, and it's sponsored by the Valley. That's where I live, in the San Fernando Valley. The Valley Economic Alliance, and they provide all kinds of resources for businesses. You really need to check them out. I mean, they got every kind of resource there. Classes, employment opportunities, like supplemental employment, like financing and funding and all those kinds of things, grant lists, all of it. And some really great workshops that help you to learn about the whole of what business really is. So that's going to be November the 15th at 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. PST, y'all. And go there, ladies, register. It's going to be fun. There'll be a panel. But we'll have some really amazing business folks on there talking about their businesses, how they got started, and all that good stuff. Dr. Marlena, before you go, please put your link to your book in the chat because we want to get that out there. So that's it, valley.net/events, November 15th at 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Your girl, Shauna Ray, is going to be the keynote speaker, talking about all things business, about some of the things that we even talked about today, like when you have an idea, how do you launch it? How do you sustain it? How do you get past the fear? All of it. We're going to chat about it. And so it's called Women's Entrepreneur Day. You don't want to miss that. Love you too, Dr. Marlena. Get that link in here, girl. Dr. Marlena has a book anthology that her co-writers were all on the book, on the show here, and it's called something about dad. Oh my gosh, I wish I could. My brain is going blank right now. But if you don't get that here tonight, then you all tune back in, and I'll make sure that you get that because we need to get them on the bestseller list. All right. So again, here's the podcast. Grab that real quick. Lou put it back out there. Lucien,
Thanks, Lou.
Lucien is also Mr. Entrepreneur Man, Mr. Networking Man, Mr. Well-Connected Waterman, and Well-Connected Gear, and Well-Connected Entertainment. And this is his water, and I drink it not just because it's good, but also because he's my friend and I love him. And so I have to support his business. So this is the water that we living loved, Well-Connected Water. Yes, indeed.
Thank you, Lou.
Indeed. He said, welcome. All right. And last link to show, thevalley.net, November 15th at 10 a.m. to 11:30, the Valley Economic Alliance. Get on there and find out some stuff. You join us too. Because there'll be some great stuff on there. So y'all know what? It's that time. That's the water bottle link.
I'm going to support you, Lou. I'm going to order some water.
There you go. So listen, y'all, we thank you once again for tuning in. It's been beautiful. This is Boss Talk, and I am your girl, Shauna Ray. And y'all know what that is. Boss Talk, that's bold, one of a kind, sensational superstars. And that's you. See you next week. You can stay with me.